If you're not copying people, then you're doing social media completely wrong. See, as a small business, you have one of two options. You either come up with your own all original ideas, hoping something goes well, posting consistently every single day without fail, and still being happy when nothing works. Or you build a strategy and a system where it's consistently easy and very low barrier to entry to every single day pick up the camera and record some content. But again, still be happy when things don't work because you know you're on the right track and you're not just shooting in the dark. And I know when I say the word system, this will have the connotations of being something really complicated that's going to take you hours to build out. But in reality, it can take just minutes a day. And straight away as a business, one of the first things we should be doing with our content is making dedicated buckets for what our content is going to be about. And yeah, these can be quite universal across all different business types. Some examples would include storytelling, educational, authority, or series-based content. And breaking them down one by one, we'll start off with storytelling. And no, I don't just mean the non-fiction books that you read. This one's actually a bit different to the rest, as we can apply it to all of the types of our videos in our content system. Because it's not just a type of content, it's more like a way of communicating. As an example, this is where we could take a problem we're facing in our business and we could break it down in a video, but in more of a compelling way, not just a list-based video that's going to bore everyone. Think of when you watch your favourite movie, let's say James Bond. It'd be a very boring movie if all they did was, this is the villain, this is what he's doing wrong, this is James Bond, he's killed the villain. You're not going to watch that. Alternatively, they add in little side plots where they could be on a time constraint, and if you don't get there within 2 hours or do something within a certain amount of time, then the world's going to end. And I'm not saying your videos have to be that extreme and your content doesn't need to be built like a movie, but at least needs to be a little bit compelling and make people interested. Even let's take the idea of setting a time constraint for something. Let's say you are a commercial cleaning company and you have a promise that you could complete a certain job within 2 hours. So what could a piece of content be? You could document you going to this job, going through the steps that you'd need to do for this commercial clean, any problems that you might face on the way, and you'd have this clock ticking down as a bit of a test to the audience to see if you're going to do it in time. You could break down any problems you have along the way, why certain methods and pieces of technology you use make it possible for you to complete this job in this period of time. But just give a reason for the viewer to actually be interested in what you're saying, because no one's going to listen to you sit there and ramble for 3 minutes about how good your new piece of kit is. Now moving on to our second piece, which was educational content. This should be our primary piece of content as a business. As what our content needs to do, it's not to entertain, make people laugh. While these might be part of making a good video, the main reason you're making videos is to solve people's problems. But again, we need to make these interesting. You can't just make the same exact videos as everyone else and expect a better outcome than them. And one way we could do this with our educational content is by providing frameworks. Now, these don't have to be fancy, but let's say we are a gym owner. And on a really basic level, instead of just talking through the importance of getting daily movement, strength training, and eating well, we could set up a framework that actually breaks this down in itself in the same level of depth, but just makes it a bit more interesting and makes it personalized from you to the viewer. And you don't just blend in and sound like everyone else online. We could position this instead as our MES framework. This is our move, eat, and strength that we action with all our clients that we have in person. Now, yeah, this is a really basic level, but make it a bit interesting, have a bit of fun with it. And this, again, can work with absolutely any business. Now, thirdly, our authority content. This is where we can position ourselves as an expert in our space. And another strategy that comes underneath this category would be social hacking. An example of this would be if you were a fashion retailer, but you had the expertise in trends and what sort of clothing fits certain types of people or certain bodies of people. You could then make a piece of content breaking down what clothes celebrities were wearing on the red carpet and whether it suited them or not, maybe some different changes, maybe some extra pieces of clothing you'd put on them that you think might suit them better. But you need to include the why in this. Why would that suit them better? This is where you show off your expertise in this field. And you go from just being an informer to an educator who actually knows in depth about these topics. And then finally, the series content. Now, if this is done well, this can work exceptionally well for businesses. So how do we do it? The best way to do this would be finding out what piece of content works well for you and what performs well for you. And yeah, this is done by just doing piece of content over and over again, repeating different styles and seeing what performs. You might choose to have the same backdrop and setup so people recognize the videos instantly. The same way this guy found the outlier of if I was the CEO of, and just doubled down on it and did it on so many different businesses, and it performed over and over again. How about an example if you're a mortgage advisor? You may do a video breaking down what salaries you'd need to afford what sort of houses, and this may perform very well. So you double down on it, repeated time and time again, using the same setups, hooks, backdrops, but just with different salaries, different houses, different locations. And the series could simply be Mortgage Advisor breaks down X topics. It's as simple as that. But all in all, these content systems only work well for getting clients if you have the systems in place to take those people from just being viewers all the way through to a lead, then a paying customer. And if you want to know how to do that, then you need to watch this video here where I break down the 3-step system which takes people through that exact process.